Chairperson of today's function, Ms. Nijana Gulme, Vice Chancellor, Professor Pradeshi Lal, and the Chief Guest of today's function, Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary, a distinguished invitee and the keynote speaker of today's Foreign Policy Lecture Series, Professor H. Don Sema, Head Department of Political Science, Professor N.S. Jameel, presently Registrar of Nagaland University, Professor M.K. Sinha, Finance Officer, Professor C.K. Gogoi, our guest from Jindal University, and my dear colleagues from various departments, and my dear students. As Professor John said, this lecture is meant for our students, the target group, and our Prime Minister Modi always tells that by 2020, India will be the youngest country in the world, and the future of India and the future of India's position in the world will be determined by the young generation that is you. It's a great coincidence today that we are having this Foreign Policy Lecture Series sponsored by Ananta Center, supported by the Tatas, or the Tata Sons we call them. The coincidence is that we have a speaker on foreign policy coming from New Delhi, and today all the 8 chief ministers of the 8 northeastern states, they are in Delhi to meet our Honorable Foreign Minister, what we call it, External Affairs Minister, Ms. Sushma Swaraj, as part of consultative meet to take forward our Prime Minister's much loved foreign policy initiative, that is ACTIS policy. For our Prime Minister, he has told that the central part of the ACTIS policy is the Northwest. When we talk about foreign policy lecture series, let me give a brief profile of how it all happened. The Ananta Center wrote to the Vice Chancellor. The Vice Chancellor referred it to the department, and the department was too happy to have it. And why we wanted to have it? Why we wanted to have a distinguished fellow like Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary? Because we wanted to make our students know that today foreign policy is not within the confines of the lovely buildings of the Ministry of External Affairs. It has come from the bureaucratic stronghold, what you call it, the career diplomats, to the common people. And why it is so? Because in the age of democracy, particularly in the 21st century, the foreign policy is no longer made by a select few career diplomats. Those were the days when Kautilya was there, from Kautilya to K.V. Krishna Menon. It was basically monopolized by the career diplomats, or Thucydides to George F. Kennan. It was the prerogative of the career diplomats. But after World War II, what we have seen, the democratization of foreign policy of a particular country, only those countries which are democratic like India. And today, as Prime Minister always tells that foreign policy, it must be, people must be educated in the art of making foreign policy, so that they must understand that foreign policy is to serve the society. Today, the basic concept of security, whether it is territorial, geographical, or physical security, or for that matter sovereignty, that has changed. And from traditional security, what we call it today is a comprehensive security. When we talk about the social security, economic security, cultural security, environmental security. And as a result of that, the participation of the people in the making of foreign policy is a must. Today, whether we talk about movement against GM food, whether we talk about movement against the ill effects of globalization, whether we talk about anti-corporate houses movements which are responsible for global warming and climate change, whether you talk about the movement for preservation of the common good, what we call it the space, the seabed and all that, you find that the people are involved over there. So you have not only government-to-government relationship between and among the nation states, but basically the civil society. What we formally call in foreign policy, that the foreign policy priority has shifted from track 1 to track 2, or as Canadian professors say, that basically track 10 diplomacy that happens in today's world. Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary is a part of track 2 diplomacy basically, that he comes and he has come to deliver a lecture on basically Modi's foreign policy. I will not speak anything about the content, contour and character of Modi's foreign policy, because I don't want to preempt what he wants to say. But only one thing I would like to tell you, that Prime Minister Modi has taken our foreign policy from the confines of the bureaucratic buildings to the public domain, and today India's image in the world has been recognized because of only one person, that is Prime Minister Modi. I am not nullifying the contribution of the earlier prime ministers and the earlier statesmen in India who contributed to the making of foreign policy. Be it Nehru, be it Mrs. Indira Gandhi, be it Vajpayee Sahab, before that Narasimha Rao, and all that. But what we find a shift today from Nehru period to Modi's period is that Prime Minister Modi has defined or redefined the concept of national interest in a broader spectrum. And Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary will be very happy to know that for last 1 week, our university has organized cultural exchange program. And yesterday we observed International Day of Yoga that will go for 50 days. And what I am referring it, when Professor John was handing over colorful jacket to Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary, I must tell you that today foreign policy is all about the exchange of ideas, the values, the cultures. And these things build relationship between not only the nation states, but between the people of the different nations. With these words, I think I have told you that why this lecture has been organized. All of you benefited. Only one thing I would like to tell the speaker, that our students, those who belong to second semester and the fourth semester, they have papers on foreign policy. And they have 2 papers on international politics and international relations, and 1 paper that is on international organization. So more or less, our students know about the nuances of foreign policy. It may not be the way it is done in Delhi and all that. I remember many people say that why you have such type of program on foreign policy and all that. But I go back to, I remember my JNU days, that when classes were conducted by our renowned professors, but after the classes or even during the classes, such lectures were organized by the distinguished speakers like today we have Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary. And what was that basically? That in classroom we studied the text. In seminar halls or conference hall, we basically read the context. And after the seminar hall, basically we come to know about the subtext. So this connecting the text, context and subtext is basically a very interesting point, and that's why we have such lecture like this. I'm sure that all of you will be highly benefited by the lectures which our Honorable Vice Chancellor is going to deliver, and subsequently followed by Mr. Pramit Pal Chaudhary. Thank you very much.